Hi everyone, my name is Kuemmerlin, and here is my COETAIL final project. I wanted my project to encompass the massive amount of learning that I have done throughout all of the COETAIL courses and to fit with my current role as assistant principal. For my final project, I hosted a global book club with some incredible educators from around the world. So, let's get started. But before we do, I need to fast forward to last year and how it all began. When I started thinking about what to do for my final project, I knew that I'm a person who feeds on collaboration and feedback. I created a Google Doc for co-tailors to input final project ideas. I added my ideas and got great feedback. Of course, I stole like an artist and got the inception for my project. However, I couldn't do a traditional book club with students because I don't have my own class, and I didn't think it would be appropriate nor authentic to commandeer a class just for my project. Then, a little while later, I watched a video chat between COETAIL teachers about the book, The App Generation. I loved that I was able to learn from their conversation, and I started to develop my project, the needs and the audience in my mind a little more. How could I tweak this, I thought. I got it. I would do a global book club with other educators around the world. I took a gander at the ISTE standards for administrators. I wanted to align with my school's e-learning vision, connect and apply my COETAIL learning, and model what I value in technology. I felt that these three standards would help me achieve my goals. After deciding which standards I would target, I started to research books. I wanted a book that had content that fit the theme of COETAIL. I wanted it to help me gain knowledge and to understand so I could push my school's vision forward. And finally, it had to be applicable as well as readable within the length of the time we had. I decided on Creating Innovators by Dr. Tony Wagner. It met all the criteria, and soon after I decided, I got many affirmations. At my school's 60th gala dinner, our new head school quoted from the book in his speech. And then, as I was prepping and broadcasting my plan, Dr. Tony Wagner himself retweeted my tweet. That was it. It was fate. I started to spread the word to my PLN on Twitter. I tweeted a Google form, and before long, I had over 12 educators, both co-tailors and non-co-tailors, from all over the world who wanted to participate. I started to plan, think about time zones, meeting times, and the pace of our reading, and asked for input from the group for a hashtag. I tweeted some more, but this time with our new hashtag GB Creating Innovators. I planned more. I learned how to stream live on YouTube via Google Hangout. It was pretty easy to use. I did a few test runs with my sister in the States and felt confident I could easily stream when the time for our meeting came. And that time was coming quickly. Oh, and I almost forgot. I devoured the chapters of our book and created questions or talking points to prepare for our meeting. Then it was go time. I was a little nervous to host a group with other educators live, but once I met these fabulous group members and we started our discussion, it felt as if I were talking with colleagues whom I have known forever. Our group was diverse in experience, roles, and viewpoints. I learned so much from them just in our discussion from the first two chapters. I was on a learning high and immediately shared our streaming on Twitter. Then I started to reflect, as we educators do. How can I keep this momentum going? I started sharing resources we talked about or articles I found that complemented to our reading. I relied on the power of my PLN to share and spread the word as well. I searched for connections, but I still felt like the next meeting couldn't come fast enough. I knew I couldn't rush it. People still had to read their books. But I didn't want the lull to happen. So I created a flipboard and shared it with the members so they could add to it and read articles about innovation and topics that pertain to our book. After that, I was stuck. I needed help. I shot off an email to Rebecca and asked for some ideas. She responded with brilliant ideas that would respect the group members' time but also keep the conversation and learning going. I decided to challenge the group to take visual notes as they read, and I created a slow chat. I wrote a quick email that explained my reasoning and introduced the challenge of taking visual notes. Looking back, I could have given resources for how to take visual notes or explained what a slow chat was a little better than I did. It wasn't totally necessary. These are all competent learners, but it would definitely have been helpful. For the next chapters, I created visual notes of my learning and the key concepts. I shared my attempt at visual notes on Twitter, and the next thing I knew, others were sharing theirs. I created a quick infographic with quotes and all calls for how people are implementing the concepts and themes in their schools for our slow chat. I used pictograph to create the infographic. I tried to keep in mind the CARP and the Zen presentation principles. I wanted it to be a jump-off point, not the end-all, be-all of information from the book. I again relied on the power of my PLN and shared out and announced the slow chat. I was super encouraged by the members of my PLN who weren't actually in our group, but continued to share and support our group. The slow chat continued to run in between meetings and did its job of keeping the conversation going. We proceeded with the next 2 meetings, and the discussions got deeper and felt more comfortable. As the facilitator, I felt in the last 2 meetings I wasn't as tied to my questions, which made the discussions flow more naturally. I also had to reframe my intentions. After reflecting on the first meeting, I thought I asked too many questions from within the book. My purpose and intent of #GBC Creating Innovators was to share ideas and applications that we are doing in our schools and connect with other educators. Tying myself to the book was limiting that connection. As soon as I used the themes of the book as a background information and began focusing on how other schools apply them, it changed the course of our group. Another thing that fit nicely, which actually was initiated by my husband, the e-learning coordinator at our school, was a maker's book club that he started. We meet bi-weekly and are creating a plan on how to plant seeds of innovation and design thinking opportunities in our school that go toward our e-learning vision. It was serendipitous and gave me another avenue to share ideas from our book discussion with colleagues in my own school in an authentic way. I plan to continue to use the hashtag GB Creating Innovators as a sort of database for future reference. I want to continue to add resources and articles or rediscover ones that I want to reread. I have already gone back to search for some articles that members shared, and I want to pass along to a colleague or a parent at my school. I have to say it again. This experience or project never would have worked without such an open group that was brave enough to share their learning with our world. Each one of them taught me so much in regards to teaching and learning, but as well as the value of being a true collaborator. Thank you to the members of my book club. It was truly an honor to work with you. Now, some time for reflections on my mistakes, or I like to call them oops moments. Number 1, technical difficulties. It's inevitable when dealing with technology. However, in my first meeting, I didn't have the forethought to think about it. In our meeting, we had some people that just couldn't connect. I should have set up a trial run or wrote out step-by-step directions to ensure that everyone can join our first kickoff meeting. Number 2, time zones. Ugh, isn't it always the time zones? Before our second meeting, I woke up in the middle of the night and realized that our time zone in the Southern Hemisphere had sprung forward. However, the Northern Hemisphere hadn't changed. I quickly, and probably partly asleep, and without thinking, tweeted in the middle of the night that we had to change the time. Then, after kind of going back to sleep, I woke up and I realized that I could adjust my time and not confuse everyone else. I think that meeting, because of the time zone and my inability to communicate well, some people missed. Oops, number 3, more frequent feedback. As I said before, I'm a person that feeds off of feedback and collaboration. This is the oops that I'm most disappointed in myself for. In my classroom, as a teacher, I'm constantly asking for feedback from my students. I don't know why, but I totally spaced on this aspect of good teaching and didn't ask for feedback nearly enough. Thankfully, I asked for it toward the end and got wonderful insight from the members. Now for my fourth mistake, sharing with colleagues. The other day, I was on Twitter and came across this tweet. It struck me that I spend so much time and effort building my online PLN that sometimes I miss out on great learning opportunities within my school, with my colleagues that I'm in the trenches with. This is something that I want to continue to work on. The good thing about all these oops moments are it's never too late to improve. I can already see some ways to continue this project and improve upon it, but that's for another time. So, that's it. My labor of love and learning for COETAIL. Remember, if you want to watch any of our meetings, just check out my YouTube channel. I look forward to continuing our COETAIL journey with all of you.